Illinois is bleeding to death. Electing a Republican state legislature stops the bleeding. I'm pleased and thrilled to be joined here today on a statewide fly-around tour, Save Illinois Taxpayers tour, with House Republican leader Tom Cross and our local leadership team of Jill Tracy and our state Senate candidate, Randy Freese. Every Illinois taxpayer fundamentally understands that we are being ripped off. For decades, the Illinois taxpayer has been milked like a dairy cow. Republicans across the state are saying that that must end. And it ends with our pledge to the Illinois voter. And that's the purpose of today's press conference. To freeze, audit, and repeal, freeze property taxes, adversarial audit every dime of state and local spending, and to repeal the Democrats' 67% income tax hike. Now, this agenda stands in stark contrast and creates a real difference in this election at the ballot box that voters need to be aware of. The Democratic agenda is to hike your income taxes again by another $2 billion. And in this state Senate district, John Sullivan would vote to put that on the ballot. The second part of the Democratic agenda is no pension reform, but pension shift to your property tax bill this time, hiking your property taxes. So our pledge, our Republican pledge as a party to the voters of Illinois is of three parts. Part one, to freeze your property tax bill for 3 years and then only allow increases at inflation. Everybody's property value has fallen over the course of the past 3 or 4 years, yet we have sharply increased property tax bills, and this is unfair. Illinois leads the country in our foreclosure rate. Not one state, Illinois has more foreclosures than every single one of our 49 other states. Our foreclosures exceed Florida and California and Nevada and Arizona. Property taxpayers in Illinois need a break. We need a timeout. We need to be able to catch our breaths. Oftentimes we feel we're renting our homes from government, and government needs to be responsive to where we're at. Here's part two of our pledge. To adversarially forensic audit, squeeze out all waste, abuse, fraud, and corruption from the spending of a tax dollar. Right before I walked in here, I looked at recent polling data from a national polling firm out of Washington, D.C., sampled a cross-section of Illinois voters, and 94% of people believe that when government in Illinois spends money, that waste, abuse, and corruption are involved in that spending. Republicans are making a commitment to squeeze out that waste, target the corruption, and end business-as-usual practices here in Illinois. I am pleased to introduce House Republican leader Tom Cross, and Tom Cross will talk about the third part of our Save Illinois Taxpayers agenda, and that part is the repeal of the 67% income tax hike. Without further ado, Tom Cross.
Adam, thank you very much. Adam and Jill and Randy, thank you for being here. And it's a pleasure to partner with Adam on this initiative, and I give him a lot of credit coming to us. And we wholeheartedly said, what can we do to work with you and partner with you to implement these three things? You know, Adam and I and Kevin, who's here with us, spent the day flying around the state of Illinois. We've got other places to go. But when you're in a helicopter 500 to 700 feet above the land, you see so many different things. And we started up in the northern part of the state. We were in Metro East. We're here. We're going to some other places. This is an incredible state. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's beautiful. And Adam said it best. It's stunning as we were coming up along the river. And I don't want to go anywhere else. This is where I live. This is where our kids are and my wife. And I suspect everybody in this room loves Illinois and you want to stay here. So we need to save it. And we can't continue down the road we're on right now. And when you think about all of the states around us, from Wisconsin to Missouri to Indiana to Wisconsin, Michigan, all the Midwestern states and southern states, they've all done the tough things. And they have all kept their taxes low. They've encouraged economic development. They've cut their spending. They haven't borrowed. They've gotten their pension systems in line. And that's something we have to face if we're going to survive as a state, that we have to make the very, very tough choices. And this initiative and this pledge gets us on that path with the freeze for 3 years, the audit, and the income tax hike repeal. And we cannot turn around this state or rebound economically if we do not repeal the income tax. And people are going to say, oh, it's impossible, you can't do it. What are you talking about? Well, again, all of those states around us have done it. They have been successful. They are thriving economically. We have the highest unemployment rate in the Midwest. And the only way we're going to get that down is to repeal that income tax hike, a 67% income tax hike. And you think about that. And that was done because the Democrats in this state couldn't control the spending, couldn't control the borrowing, didn't have the discipline to do and the will to do things like Medicaid reform and pension reform. So, Adam, you get a lot of credit for pushing this. Randy and Jill, thank you for being here. We're excited about it. We are committed to making sure these three things happen when we believe we will have success and when we have success in this upcoming election, both at the House and the Senate level. So, again, Adam, thank you very, very much for your leadership on this.
I'm pleased to introduce Quincy State Representative Jill Tracy.
Tracy.
Thanks. I can't say enough of how much I appreciate Adam's commitment to making this state better and Leader Cross being here today. We're in campaign mode. I'm very excited, and this adds to the enthusiasm. And what makes this, I think, extremely important election. And the Democrats have definitely distinguished themselves from the Republicans. I fully support this taxpayer pledge. If I've seen and heard anything throughout this campaign season when I visited with people, what is the greatest concern to them? Overwhelmingly, they don't want any new taxes. They're concerned about their property values and the property taxes and the thought of a cost shift and how that will play into their taxes and ability to stay in their homes. We are definitely wanting to cut the taxes where we can. State money is taxpayer money, no question about it. There is no distinction. And people are hurting and they don't want to be taxed anymore. And the Democrats are definitely on a path of more taxes and more spending. And we just can't sustain it anymore. And it's good to draw our line in the sand and say no more taxes and this kind of commitment to a freeze. So I'm grateful. Thank you, gentlemen, so much for helping us and coming to our beautiful part of the region of this great state that needs help. And with more Republicans in the House and the Senate, I think we'll get that help to address the tax issues that we have in this state. So with that, if I may, Adam, I'll introduce somebody who knows about freezing. And I'm very grateful to have such a fine candidate for Senate that understands what people need and want, and the fiscal problems with this state are not going to be solved with taxing and spending or borrowing anymore. And with that, I want to introduce my great friend and candidate, Randy Freese, for State Senator.
Thank you, Representative Tracy. Three simple steps. Very simple in their structure, but very important to the future of Illinois. I'm very proud of Adams County and the job that the county board has done here in holding the line on expenses. And I'm very proud of my record as circuit court clerk, having balanced budget and holding all expenditures in check over these past 8 years that I've served. So I look forward to working with Jill Tracy, and I look forward to serving with Representative Cross. And I thank Adam Andrzejewski for his leadership. We need to implement this plan, and we need to get Illinois back on the right track. So thank you very much.